Little do Seattle's elite know that a sophisticated crew of international thieves has already infiltrated the Emerald Tower's security systems, setting the stage for what they believe will be the perfect heist. But among the wealthy guests at tonight's charity gala is Marcus Kane, a retired Delta Force operator who's about to turn their carefully planned operation into a night of reckoning. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The Emerald Tower's 60th floor sparkles with champagne glasses and designer gowns as Seattle's elite mingle under crystal chandeliers. Security teams patrol the perimeter, their movements precise and practiced. In the building's control room, Chief of Security David Chen leans forward in his chair, eyes scanning multiple monitors. Something about the night feels off, but he can't quite place it. Marcus Kane adjusts his borrowed tuxedo, feeling out of place among the city's wealthy and powerful. 15 years of Delta Force operations didn't prepare him for navigating champagne flutes and corporate small talk. He's only here because of Jack Morrison, his former teammate and brother-in-arms, now head of corporate security for Northwest Banking Group. The annual Charity Gala is the city's premier social event, with over 200 of Seattle's most influential figures in attendance. Marcus watches as tech billionaires mingle with real estate moguls, while politicians shake hands with venture capitalists. But his trained eye catches subtle details others miss: the slight delay in the security camera rotations, the barely noticeable interference in the guards' radio communications. At precisely 9:42 p.m., Marcus spots Jack moving urgently through the crowd. Their eyes meet across the room and Marcus recognizes the tension in his old friend's posture. Before either can react, the first sign of real trouble appears. All security cameras on floors 58 through 62 freeze simultaneously. The building's sophisticated security system, designed to be unhackable, has been compromised. Marcus reaches for the concealed firearm he never leaves home without, but he's too late. The lights cut out with surgical precision, plunging the ballroom into darkness. Emergency generators kick in 3 seconds later, casting an eerie blue glow across terrified faces. In those crucial moments, 12 armed figures in tactical gear have materialized from service elevators and emergency stairwells, their movements suggesting military training. The heist crew's leader emerges last, a tall, elegant man in a tailored suit that sets him apart from his tactical-clad team. Known in international intelligence circles only as the Director, his reputation precedes him. 5 major heists across 3 continents, 0 witnesses left alive. Ladies and gentlemen, the Director's cultured voice carries across the now silent room. I advise you to consider this evening's entertainment slightly altered. Cooperate, and you'll have an amusing story for your next board meeting. His smile doesn't reach his eyes as he surveys the crowd. Resist and, well, let's avoid unnecessary unpleasantness. David Chen is dragged up from the security room, blood trickling from a head wound. The Director approaches him with theatrical disappointment. Mr. Chen, I believe you thought you detected our presence earlier. Admirable instincts, but ultimately futile. He raises a silenced pistol. I'm afraid we need to demonstrate the serious nature of our visit. Marcus catches Jack's eye, reading his friend's intentions in a glance. Their years of combat together created a bond deeper than words. Marcus shakes his head slightly. The angles are wrong. The risks too high. But Jack Morrison has never been one to stand by while an innocent dies. Wait! Jack steps forward, drawing the attention of several armed men. I'm the head of security. He's just following my protocols. The Director's expression doesn't change as he shifts his aim and fires twice. The silenced shots sound like muffled coughs, but their impact is devastating. Jack crumples to the marble floor, red spreading across his white dress shirt. Marcus fights every instinct to rush to his friend, knowing movement now means death. Anyone else feeling heroic? The Director surveys the room. No one moves. In the chaos that follows, the systematic robbery of hundreds of millions in assets, the cataloging of hostages, the precise execution of what is clearly a long-planned heist. Marcus makes his way to Jack's side. His friend is barely breathing, but his grip on Marcus's hand is iron strong. "Sarah." Jack's voice is barely a whisper. "My daughter. Promise me you'll protect her. They'll come for her. They'll know." Blood bubbles at his lips. Blood bubbles. "I promise," Marcus says, but Jack's eyes are already growing dim. By the time police breach the building 2 hours later, the director and his crew have vanished like smoke, leaving behind 3 dead bodies, hundreds of traumatized guests, and a mystery that will take 5 years to unravel. This is where our story truly begins, not with the glittering gala or the perfect heist, but with a promise made in blood and a debt that must be paid in full. 5 years after the Emerald Tower massacre, Marcus Kane stares out at the endless expanse of Montana wilderness from his remote cabin. The morning fog clings to the pine trees, reminding him of Seattle's perpetual mist. He hasn't set foot in that city since the night he watched his best friend die on polished marble floors. The cabin's interior tells the story of a man who never fully left the war behind. Maps line one wall, surveillance equipment fills a corner desk, and a locked gun safe holds enough firepower to outfit a small tactical team. But it's the photo on his desk that draws his attention every morning. Jack Morrison's smiling face at their last Christmas together, his arm around his then 12-year-old daughter, Sarah. Marcus's morning routine hasn't changed in the 3 years since he bought this property. 5-mile run through the mountain trails, weapons maintenance, communications check with his remaining military contacts. He's built a life of careful isolation, taking occasional security consulting jobs that don't require him to deal with crowds or corporate politics. The locals in the nearby town of Pine Ridge know him only as the quiet veteran who helps fix their cars and keeps to himself. Today starts like any other, but something feels different. Maybe it's the way his security system registered a brief power fluctuation last night, or how his satellite phone showed 1 bar of signal when it usually has 3. Small details, the kind that kept him alive through 15 years of special operations. The burner phone he keeps for emergencies buzzes on his workbench. The number is blocked, but few people have this contact. His former commanding officer's voice comes through, tense and urgent. "Kane, we've got movement. Remember that ghost you've been tracking?" Marcus's hand instinctively moves to the laptop where he keeps his investigation files. 5 years of dead ends and cold leads about the director and his crew. What kind of movement? Facial recognition hit in Vancouver. One of his known associates at a private airport. They're active again. The words hang in the air like smoke. Marcus has spent years building a dossier on the director's organization, their patterns, their preferences, their targets. Every major heist has been followed by the systematic elimination of potential witnesses or loose ends. He thinks of Sarah Morrison, now 17 and living with her mother in Portland. If they're active again? There's more. His CO continues. Northwest Banking Group is hosting another charity gala next month. 5th anniversary of the incident. Same building. Marcus feels his pulse quicken. They wouldn't hit the same target twice, unless that was the plan all along. Think about it. 5 years of silence, then suddenly they're back. The timing's too perfect. Before Marcus can respond, his perimeter sensors light up. 3 vehicles approaching on the access road, unusual for this time of year. Through his security cameras, he spots black SUVs with tinted windows, government plates, but something's off about how they're positioned. "I'll call you back," he tells his CO, already moving to his gun safe. The vehicles stop in a triangle formation around his cabin. 8 men emerge, their movements betraying military training. But their gear is wrong for federal agents. Too high-end, too customized. Marcus recognizes the setup. It's the same formation used at the Emerald Tower. He grabs his go bag, always packed, always ready, and moves to his escape tunnel. The cabin looks isolated, but beneath its floorboards runs a network of passages he spent months constructing. As he enters the tunnel, he hears his front door burst open above. Through the underground network of his property, Marcus makes his way to his backup vehicle, hidden in an old barn half a mile away. His mind races through possibilities. If they found him here, they must know about his investigation, which means they might also know about his promise to Jack. His satellite phone vibrates again as he reaches the barn. This time, it's a text message from an unknown number. "You should have stayed retired, Mr. Kane. Some promises are better left unfulfilled." The message confirms his fears. After 5 years of hunting shadows, the shadows are finally hunting back. But they've made a crucial mistake. They've given him a reason to stop running and start fighting. Marcus starts his backup vehicle, a modified Range Rover equipped with everything he needs for a war. The morning sun breaks through the Montana fog as he points the car south. If the director's crew is re-emerging, if they're really planning another hit on the Emerald Tower, then it's time to return to Seattle. He thinks of Sarah Morrison, the goddaughter he's protected from afar for 5 years. She deserves to know the truth about her father's death. More importantly, she deserves to be protected from what's coming. Because Marcus knows one thing for certain. If the director is back, he'll try to tie up every loose end from that night 5 years ago. And Sarah, whether she knows it or not, is the biggest loose end of all. As his vehicle disappears into the mountain roads, smoke begins to rise from his cabin. The assault team has planted charges, destroying any evidence of their visit. But they're too late. Marcus Kane is already gone, and with him, 5 years of intelligence gathering on their organization. The hunter is about to become the hunted, and this time, he won't stop until the director and his entire operation are dismantled. The quiet chapter of Marcus Kane's life ends here, burned away with his cabin in the Montana wilderness. Ahead lies Seattle, with its memories and ghosts, and a promise made in blood that's finally come due. Special Agent Claire Sullivan stares at the wall of evidence in the FBI's Seattle field office. 5 years of dead ends, false leads, and ghosted trails surrounding the Emerald Tower heist. Photos, documents, and red strings connect seemingly unrelated incidents across 3 continents. At the center is a single question mark: the true identity of the director. "You're here early," says her partner, James Rodriguez, placing a coffee on her desk. "Or should I say, late? Did you even go home last night?" Claire shakes her head, focusing on a new set of surveillance photos from Vancouver International Airport. "Look at this," she points to a figure in the background. Thomas Way, the director's suspected moneyman. First confirmed sighting in 3 years. James leans closer, studying the image. Could be coincidence. There's more. Claire pulls up financial records on her computer. Northwest Banking Group just announced their anniversary charity gala. Same venue, same week as the original heist. And in the past month, we've detected unusual movement patterns. Shell companies activating, dormant accounts showing activity. "You think they're planning something?" "I think—" Claire's response is cut short by Assistant Director Thompson entering their office area. "Sullivan, Rodriguez, my office. Now." Inside Thompson's office, the morning sun casts long shadows across a new set of photos spread on his desk. These came in from our Hong Kong bureau an hour ago. 3 former witnesses from the Emerald Tower case, all dead within the last week. Claire picks up one of the photos. Cause of death: made to look like accidents. Business executive falls from his penthouse. Retired security guard has a heart attack at the gym. Corporate lawyer drives off a mountain road. Thompson's face is grim. The timing isn't coincidental. They're cleaning house, Claire says, the pieces clicking into place. Getting ready for something big. There's more. Thompson slides over a classified file. CIA picked up chatter about a major player arriving in Seattle. Someone they're calling the orchestrator. Ring any bells? Claire's pulse quickens. In 5 years of investigation, she's only heard that name once, in a dying arms dealer's last words in Bangkok. The director's boss, the one who really calls the shots, correct, and if he's coming personally. Thompson lets the implication hang. Whatever they're planning, it's bigger than we thought, James concludes. We're not the only ones interested, Sut. Thompson brings up a security feed on his monitor. This was taken at a gas station outside Missoula, Montana, 6 hours ago. Claire leans forward, recognizing the face immediately. Marcus Kane. Former Delta Force, best friend of Jack Morrison, he's been off-grid for years, but suddenly he's heading west on I-90, straight towards Seattle. We should bring him in, James suggests. He might know something. Claire shakes her head. Kane's been conducting his own investigation for 5 years. He's got resources and contacts we don't. If we spook him now, we'll lose any chance of cooperation. Thompson considers this. Keep tabs on him, but maintain distance. If he's moving now, he must have picked up something we missed. A junior agent bursts into the office without knocking. Sir, you need to see this. Kane's cabin in Montana. It's gone. Burned to the ground less than an hour after he left. Claire turns back to the Vancouver airport photo, studying it with new eyes. They tried to tie up a loose end, but they were too late. Now Kane's in play, and the anniversary gala is 2 weeks away. Sullivan, Thompson's voice carries the weight of command. I'm giving you full operational authority. Whatever resources you need. If the director and this orchestrator are really planning something at that gala, I want every angle covered. Sir, Claire hesitates. What about Kane? Unofficial channel only. Make contact if you can, but keep it off the books. Something tells me we're going to need his help before this is over. As Claire and James leave Thompson's office, her phone buzzes with an alert. Another witness from the original case has been found dead in Singapore. The clock is ticking. Where do we start? James asks. Claire stares at the evidence wall, at 5 years of gathered intelligence. We follow Kane. The director's crew just tried to kill him, which means he knows something important. And right now, he's our best lead to preventing whatever they're planning. She pins the Vancouver airport photo next to the director's question mark. Somewhere in this web of evidence lies the truth about what really happened 5 years ago at the Emerald Tower. And this time, Claire Sullivan intends to be ready when all the pieces finally come together. The investigation board looms behind her, a testament to years of work. But now, with new players entering the game and old ghosts resurrecting, the real hunt is about to begin. Marcus Kane sits in his parked Range Rover, watching Portland's Reed College campus through the afternoon rain. Students hurry between buildings wrapped in rain jackets and carrying umbrellas. Among them is Sarah Morrison, now 17, her father's confident stride unmistakable even at this distance. She's grown so much since he last saw her. No longer the broken 12-year-old at her father's funeral, but a young woman carrying herself with quiet strength. He's maintained his distance for 5 years, protecting her through careful surveillance and anonymous interventions. When a stalker appeared at her high school 2 years ago, the man mysteriously disappeared. When hackers tried accessing her mother's banking information, their systems crashed permanently. Small guardianship acts that kept his promise without disrupting her chance at a normal life. But normal ends today. Marcus's phone buzzes with an encrypted message from one of his military contacts. Another former Emerald Tower witness found dead, this time in Berlin. The pattern is clear. The director's crew is eliminating anyone who might connect the dots between past and present. Sarah may not know it, but she's on that list. He steps out of the vehicle, adjusting his civilian clothes. No weapons visible. Nothing to draw attention. Just another visitor to campus. But his trained eye catches details others would miss. The unmarked van that's passed by twice, the man reading a newspaper who hasn't turned a page in 20 minutes. He's not the only one watching Sarah Morrison. The campus coffee shop is busy with afternoon traffic when Sarah emerges from her last class. Marcus times his approach carefully, making sure they're in public view but away from surveillance cameras. Sarah. She turns, confusion crossing her face before recognition hits. Her textbooks nearly slip from her hands. Uncle Marcus. The title brings back memories. Family barbecues, Christmas mornings, birthday parties before everything changed. We need to talk. It's about your father. 5 years. Her voice carries a sharp edge. 5 years of nothing, and now you want to talk about Dad? Students flow around them, oblivious to the tension. I know. I'm sorry. But right now, I need you to trust me. You're in danger. Sarah's expression hardens. Mom told me you went off the grid. Said the guilt drove you crazy, made you paranoid. She said... She stops, noticing how Marcus's attention has shifted to something over her shoulder. Don't react, he says quietly. The man by the coffee cart has been following you since your history class. There's another one near the library entrance. We need to move. Now. What are you talking about? I don't... Her protest cuts off as Marcus subtly angles her away from the observers. Your father's death wasn't random. The Emerald Tower heist, everything that happened that night, it was part of something bigger. And now they're back, tying up loose ends. You're a loose end, Sarah. She studies his face, looking for signs of the instability her mother warned her about. Instead, she sees the same steady presence she remembers from childhood. Mom's getting married next week, to Richard. He's a banking executive, works at Northwest Banking Group, Marcus finishes. Same company hosting the anniversary gala at the Emerald Tower. Sarah's face pales. How did you know about Richard? Because nothing in your life has been coincidence. Richard Phillips started dating your mother 6 months ago, right after the directors' organization began reactivating. He's been feeding them information, getting close to you. That's insane. Richard is... She stops as her phone buzzes. A text from her mother. Richard wants to take us to dinner, says he has a surprise coming to pick you up. Marcus reads the message over her shoulder. Perfect timing. They must know I'm here. He takes her arm gently but firmly. You have a choice to make right now. You can wait for Richard and pretend this conversation never happened. Or you can come with me and learn the truth about what happened to your father. The truth? Her voice wavers. What truth? Your father discovered something the night he died, something worth killing for. His last words weren't just about protecting you. They were about making sure that information stayed safe. Marcus checks his watch. But we've got about 3 minutes before those men make their move, so you need to decide. Sarah looks at her phone again, at the message from her mother. Everything she thought she knew about the past 5 years is unraveling. Mom, I need to warn her. We'll protect her, I promise. But right now, we need to move. A black SUV pulls into the campus drive. Sarah recognizes Richard behind the wheel, his usual friendly smile in place. But now she notices something else. The rigid way he scans the area. The man in the passenger seat whose jacket doesn't quite hide his shoulder holster. Okay, she whispers, her world shifting on its axis. I'll come with you. They walk casually toward the parking structure, Marcus guiding them through blind spots in the campus security cameras. Your father was a hero, Sarah. What happened that night? He died protecting something bigger than all of us. And now it's time you learned what that was. Behind them, Richard's SUV stops sharply. Men in business casual attire begin spreading out across the campus grounds. But Marcus and Sarah are already gone, disappearing into the rainy Portland afternoon like ghosts. The past has finally caught up with the present, and Sarah Morrison's normal life has just become a casualty of a 5-year-old promise made in blood. The safe house sits on the outskirts of Seattle, its unremarkable exterior masking a fortress of security measures. Marcus guides Sarah through the reinforced door, scanning for signs of surveillance. The house belongs to an old Delta Force contact, one of the few people he still trusts. Sarah takes in the sparse interior, tactical gear, surveillance equipment, and walls covered in investigation materials. 5 years of her Uncle Marcus's obsession laid bare. Photos, documents, and newspaper clippings connect the Emerald Tower heist to seemingly unrelated events across the globe. At the center is a face she recognizes, Richard, her mother's fiancé, pictured in grainy surveillance photos with known criminals. I don't understand, she says, studying a photo of Richard meeting with an elegant, silver-haired man. Who is he really? Richard Phillips doesn't exist, Marcus explains, pulling up files on a secure laptop. The real Richard Phillips died 15 years ago in Prague. The man dating your mother is Michael Chen, former Chinese intelligence, now one of the director's top lieutenants. Sarah sinks into a chair, her world tilting. Mom? She has no idea. We have to warn her. Already working on it. Marcus shows her a phone tracking app. I planted a bug in her car 3 months ago when I first spotted Chen. Right now, she's at home, and there are no hostile vehicles in the area. She's safe for the moment. A burner phone rings, breaking the tension. Marcus answers, switching to speaker mode. Go ahead. Kane, it's Sullivan. A woman's voice, professional but urgent. We've got movement. The orchestrator landed at Boeing Field 20 minutes ago. Private jet, heavy security, whatever's coming, it's happening soon. Marcus glances at Sarah. Claire Sullivan, FBI, one of the good ones. She's been tracking the director's crew since the original heist. The Bureau's officially monitoring the anniversary gala, Claire continues. But chatter suggests it's a misdirection. The real target is something else. Any lead on what they're after? Not yet, but we found something interesting about Jack Morrison's last day alive. 8 hours before the heist, he accessed a secure server at Northwest Banking, downloaded something big enough to require dedicated bandwidth. Sarah straightens. Dad's laptop. The one he always carried, it wasn't at the crime scene. No, it wasn't. Marcus brings up old evidence photos. The director's crew took it, but they never cracked the encryption. That's why they kept surveillance on you all these years. They thought Jack might have left you a way to access whatever he found. A crash from outside interrupts them. Marcus moves instantly, pushing Sarah behind cover as he draws his weapon. Security cameras show 3 SUVs blocking the street. Company, he tells Claire. Gotta move. Kane, wait. But he's already disconnecting, grabbing a go bag and leading Sarah to the garage. Your father had a failsafe, he explains as they move. A dead man's switch. If anything happened to him, key pieces of information would be released to specific people. I got coordinates. Agent Sullivan got account numbers. And you? Sarah pulls out her phone, realization dawning. The game. Dad's stupid puzzle game he made me download. I still have it. It's not a game. It's encrypted storage. Jack was a genius with coding. He built a secure database disguised as a mobile game. Been sitting on your phone for 5 years waiting for the right activation. Bullets shatter windows as Chen's men breach the perimeter. Marcus returns fire, covering their retreat to a hidden vehicle, a modified black Audi with bulletproof glass. Your father discovered something about Northwest Banking, Marcus continues as they peel out through a concealed back exit. Something big enough that the director's entire organization has spent 5 years trying to bury it. The gala isn't just an anniversary. It's their chance to finally access the servers Jack locked them out of. Sarah clutches her phone, the innocent-looking game now feeling heavy with significance. What did Dad find? Evidence of something called Project Echo. Cross-border transactions, black funds, political bribes. But that was just the surface. The real bombshell was the list of names: judges, politicians, intelligence officials. People who've spent decades helping organizations like the directors operate with impunity. Through the rear window, Sarah watches Chen's SUVs in pursuit. The orchestrator, he's one of them, isn't he? Someone from the list. Not just someone. Marcus takes a hard turn, throwing off their pursuers. Based on what your father discovered, the orchestrator is likely one of the most powerful men in the world. Someone whose public image is spotless, philanthropic even. The last person anyone would suspect of running a global criminal empire. Sarah's phone buzzes, her mother calling. The screen shows 7 missed calls. We'll protect her, Marcus promises, reading her expression. But Right now we need to get somewhere secure and activate that program. Whatever your father found, it was worth dying to protect. And now, after 5 years, we're finally ready to finish what he started. The Audi disappears into Seattle's rainy streets, carrying its precious cargo of secrets. Behind them, Chen's men fan out across the city, their orders clear. Find Sarah Morrison and eliminate anyone protecting her. The endgame Jack Morrison set in motion 5 years ago is finally beginning, and his daughter holds the key to bringing down an empire built on shadows and blood. Rain hammers against the windows of the Lake Union safe house as Marcus runs another security sweep. They've been here for 6 hours trying to crack the encryption on Sarah's phone game. The original safe house compromise means Chen's team is better informed than Marcus anticipated. He's had to call in favors, switching locations 3 times before finding this temporary haven. Sarah sits at a makeshift workstation, her father's old gaming interface glowing on her phone screen. "It keeps asking for a specific date," she says, frustration evident. "I've tried everything. His birthday, Mom's birthday, my birthday, the day he died." "Has to be something personal but not obvious," Marcus replies, checking the thermal cameras he's set up around the perimeter. Chen's team would have tried all the obvious dates years ago. Wait. Sarah straightens. "The day he taught me to ride a bike. July 8th, 2015. He always said it was his proudest moment as a father." The game interface shifts as she enters the date, pixels rearranging themselves into lines of code. "It's working!" Marcus moves to watch the decryption process when his phone vibrates. Claire Sullivan calling. "Tell me you've got something." "We found Chen's dead drop location," Claire says without preamble. "He's been receiving instructions from the orchestrator, Kane. It's worse than we thought. The anniversary gala isn't just a cover, it's a demonstration." "Of what?" "Northwest Banking's new quantum encryption system. They're unveiling it at the gala, moving all their sensitive client data behind unhackable walls. Once that happens, all evidence of Project Echo disappears forever," Marcus finishes. "When's the system going live?" "That's the thing. It already is. The gala is just for show. The real transfer starts at midnight. Whatever you and Sarah found, we've got less than 5 hours to use it." A warning light flashes on Marcus's security panel. Movement in the stairwell. Multiple heat signatures approaching. "Got to go. We've got company." He's barely disconnected when the first explosion rocks the building. The door frame splinters as breach charges detonate, filling the room with smoke. Marcus grabs Sarah, shielding her as armed figures swarm through the gap. "Agent Sullivan was quite helpful, wasn't she?" A cultured voice cuts through the chaos. Through the smoke steps a tall, elegant man with silver hair, the same one from the surveillance photos, the director himself. Though she really should be more careful about her communication security. Marcus pushes Sarah toward the pre-planned escape route, but more of the director's men emerge from that direction. They're surrounded. "The phone, Miss Morrison." The director extends his hand. "Let's not make this more unpleasant than necessary." Sarah clutches her phone, the decryption process still running. "You killed my father. Your father was a man who couldn't see the bigger picture." The director steps closer. "The world runs on carefully maintained illusions, my dear. Your father threatened to shatter those illusions. We simply restored order." "By murdering innocent people?" Sarah's voice shakes with rage. "There are no innocent people in this game. Only those who understand how power really works, and those who don't." He nods to his men. "Take the phone. Kill them both." Marcus moves with explosive speed, throwing a flashbang from his concealed shoulder holster. In the chaos that follows, he manages to take down 2 attackers, but a third gets off a shot that catches him in the shoulder. Sarah screams as he stumbles. The director remains unnaturally calm. "Impressive, Mr. Kane, but ultimately futile. You've spent 5 years chasing shadows, and now you'll die knowing you failed to keep your promise." Through his pain, Marcus smiles. "You sure about that?" The director's composure cracks slightly as he notices Sarah typing frantically on her phone. Before his men can reach her, she hits the final command. The screen flashes once, then goes dark. No! The director's cultured facade disappears. What did you do? Dad's dead man's switch, Sarah says proudly. The real one. Everything he found, everything you tried to bury, it just went live. Every major news outlet, every law enforcement agency, every intelligence service. Project Echo is now public knowledge. The director's face contorts with fury as his phone begins buzzing with urgent messages. But before he can react, the building's fire suppression system activates. Marcus's backup plan. In the chaos of sprayers and alarms, he and Sarah make it to the secondary escape route. They emerge onto the roof in the pouring rain, but their victory is short-lived. A helicopter appears, searchlight cutting through the darkness, and in its open door stands Richard Chen, holding Sarah's mother at gunpoint. Did you really think we wouldn't have insurance? Chen calls over the helicopter's roar. Time to make a choice, Sarah. The phone for your mother's life. Sarah looks at her phone, the key to exposing a global conspiracy, her father's last gift to the world. Then she looks at her mother, terrified but alive. Marcus grips his wounded shoulder, calculating odds, looking for options. But they both know there's only one choice Sarah can make. The rain continues to fall as Seattle's lights sparkle below, indifferent to the drama unfolding above. The night that began with a breakthrough is about to become something much darker, and the true cost of Jack Morrison's legacy is finally coming due. The FBI's Seattle field office buzzes with frantic energy at 3 a.m. Claire Sullivan stands before her evidence wall, now expanded to include the Lake Union confrontation. Her partner, James Rodriguez, hands her a fresh coffee as they review surveillance footage from the incident. Let me get this straight, James says, rewinding the helicopter footage. Kane and Sarah Morrison decrypt the file, but before they can transmit it, Chen shows up with the mother as leverage. Sarah hands over the phone, but claims she already sent the data. That's what Kane reported before they took Sarah and her mother. Claire pins up new photos, Sarah and her mother being escorted into the helicopter, Chen's team sweeping the building. But the director's reaction suggests the data didn't actually go anywhere. Sarah bluffed. Smart kid. James pulls up a satellite view of the city. Helicopter headed northwest, then vanished from radar over Puget Sound. Kane's sure they're still in Seattle? The quantum encryption system goes live at midnight. They need Sarah to access whatever her father hid. They won't risk moving her far. Marcus Kane's voice startles them both. He stands in the doorway, shoulder bandaged, looking grimmer than ever. They're at the Avalon. The luxury hotel? Claire frowns. Bold choice for hostages. The orchestrator owns it through shell companies. Whole top floor is secure, off books. Perfect place to hide while they work on Sarah. Marcus spreads architectural plans across a desk. Chen's people are posing as private security, at least 20 armed men, probably more. How did you find this? James asks. Because they wanted me to. Marcus points to a burner phone. Got a message, video of Sarah and her mother. They're alive, but the director's patience is running out. They want to trade the women's lives for access to Jack Morrison's original laptop. Claire's eyes narrow. The laptop they stole 5 years ago? The one they could never decrypt? They think I know how to unlock it. Have a feeling they've got plans for all three of us once they get what they want. It's a trap, James states the obvious. Of course it is. Marcus checks his watch. But we've got bigger problems. I did some digging on the orchestrator after the Lake Union incident. Found something interesting about the quantum encryption system. He pulls up technical schematics on Claire's computer. It's not just for banking data. Northwest Banking Group handles financial transactions for half the intelligence agencies in the Western world. Once this system goes live, decades of Black Ops funding trails disappear forever. Project Echo isn't just about corruption. It's about making sure no one can ever follow the money again. How long until the system activates? Claire asks. 6 hours, but that's not the worst part. Marcus brings up personnel files. The system needs 3 senior executives to input authentication keys, Guess who's one of them? Claire examines the photo. Richard Chen. But he's with the hostages. Exactly. The gala's a show, but Chen still needs to be there to enter his key, which means whatever they're planning with Sarah and the laptop happens in the next few hours. James studies the hotel blueprints. Security's too heavy for a frontal assault. Even with SWAT backup, we'd never reach them in time. We don't have to. Marcus traces a path on the plans. Service tunnels connect to an old bootlegging network from Prohibition. Most are sealed, but I found one access point they might have missed. Small team could get in undetected. Could work, Claire nods. But we still don't know what they want with the laptop, or why they're so sure you can unlock it. Marcus's expression darkens. Because Jack Morrison told me how, the night he died. He knew they'd take it, so he split the encryption key. Half in Sarah's game, half in a phrase only I would understand. His last words to you, Claire realizes. Not just the words, the context. Where he was lying, what he was looking at, even the way he fell. It was all part of the key. Jack was a genius with codes. He knew they'd torture the information out of us if they caught us together, so he made sure we'd both need each other to access the data. And now they have Sarah, James begins. But not the laptop's location, Marcus finishes. 5 years they've never found it. Because Jack hid it somewhere only I could figure out. Somewhere connected to a promise we made years before. Claire sees the pieces clicking together. The trade. They need you to find the laptop, Sarah to provide her half of the key, and then they kill all of us once they have what they need. Marcus checks his weapons. But they don't know about Jack's final failsafe. If the laptop isn't accessed in exactly the right way using exactly the right sequence, it self-destructs, Claire guesses, along with every piece of data on it. One wrong move and 5 years of their planning goes up in smoke. James spreads out tactical maps. So we go in through the tunnels, extract the hostages, keep the laptop out of their hands, and somehow stop them from activating the quantum encryption system. In less than 6 hours. With no backup. Actually, Claire's phone buzzes with a text. We might have help. Remember that facial recognition hit on Thomas Way, the director's money man? Vancouver PD just found him dead in his hotel room. But before he died, he contacted an old friend, a former operator who's been hunting the director's organization for years. He's already in Seattle and he wants in. Marcus reads the name on Claire's phone. His expression shifts from surprise to grim satisfaction. Well. Looks like this just became a reunion. The investigation board looms behind them. 5 years of gathered evidence leading to this moment. In 6 hours, they'll either expose the largest conspiracy in modern history, or die trying. And somewhere in Seattle, Sarah Morrison works on her own plan, knowing that the next time she sees Marcus Kane, only one of them might walk away alive. The underground parking garage echoes with footsteps as Marcus Kane approaches a lone figure standing beside a black SUV. Even after 8 years, he'd recognize that silhouette anywhere. Been a while, Connor. Connor Mitchell steps into the light, his face weathered by years of hunting the director's organization. Once Marcus's squad leader in Delta Force, now a ghost who's sacrificed everything for vengeance. Thomas Way reached out before they got to him, said you were finally closing in on them. More like they're closing in on us. Marcus hands over a file. Sarah Morrison, Jack's daughter. They have her and her mother at the Avalon. Want to trade them for Jack's laptop? Connor studies the hotel blueprints. The laptop that disappeared the night Jack died? The one with Project Echo? You know about Echo? Way told me before he died. Global Black Funds Network. Intelligence agencies, criminal organizations, corrupt officials, all connected through Northwest Banking. Echo's the proof that would bring it all down. Connor's eyes harden. Way also told me who the orchestrator really is. Marcus tenses. Who? Senator William Harrison, chairman of the Intelligence Committee, probable next president of the United States. The philanthropist image, the clean record, all carefully crafted. He's been running this shadow empire for 30 years. Jesus. Marcus lets this sink in. That's why they need the quantum encryption. Once it's active, all the evidence disappears behind unbreakable walls. Harrison's path to the presidency stays clear. Connor pulls weapons from the SUV. Wei said Harrison's going to be at the gala personally. First public appearance with the director. Bold move. They're confident. 5 years of planning, everything timed perfectly. The encryption system, the gala, Sarah's kidnapping, it all serves Harrison's endgame. Marcus checks his phone. A message from Claire Sullivan. FBI found the tunnel access point. They're ready when we are. Kane. Connor's voice carries the weight of command. Before we do this, the laptop. Jack told you where it is, didn't he? In those last moments? Marcus stares into the darkness of the garage. Not directly, but he made me promise something years before when Sarah was born. Made me swear I'd protect what mattered most. And the night of the heist, bleeding out, he looked up at this massive crystal chandelier. His last words about Sarah, they weren't just about protecting her. He was telling me where to look. Marcus pulls up an old photo on his phone. The Morrison family mausoleum. There's a crystal chandelier inside, identical to the one from the tower. Jack and I used to joke about it. Who puts a chandelier in a mausoleum? But he knew. He knew someday I'd remember. Connor checks his tactical gear. The laptop's been sitting in his grave for 5 years? In a lead-lined case, hidden inside the chandelier mounting, undetectable by scanners. Even if they found the mausoleum, they'd never think to look there. Marcus loads his weapons. But we can't just grab it. The encryption key is split. Half in Sarah's game, half in the specific way we have to access the laptop. One wrong move. It self-destructs. Connor nods. Classic Jack Morrison, always 3 steps ahead. Claire and James arrive, geared up for the infiltration. Tunnel access is clear, Claire reports. But we found something else. Security footage from the Avalon's loading dock. Look who's working with Chen. The grainy video shows a familiar face. Agent Thompson, Claire's boss at the FBI. Harrison's reach is deeper than we thought, James says grimly. Thompson knows all our protocols, Claire adds. Any official backup is compromised. Then we do this alone. Connor lays out tactical maps. 4-person team, Kane and I take the service tunnels, breach from below. Sullivan and Rodriguez cover the gala, keep eyes on Harrison. If we time this right, we can get the hostages out before they know we're coming. And the laptop? Claire asks. I'll retrieve it, Marcus says. But we need to coordinate the timing perfectly. The moment they realize we're at the mausoleum, Sarah and her mother are dead. What about the encryption system? James checks his watch. 4 hours until it goes live. One problem at a time. Connor's voice carries absolute authority. First, we get the hostages out. Then we deal with Harrison. Marcus's phone buzzes. Another video from Chen. Sarah and her mother, bound, but alive. A message follows. 2 hours to deliver the laptop, or they die screaming. He's getting nervous, Claire observes. Good. Marcus switches his phone off. Means we've got them rattled. Connor, you sure about this? Could be a one-way trip. Connor checks his rifle with practiced precision. 8 years I've hunted them. 8 years since they killed my family. Today it ends. Either they go down, or we do. The garage falls silent as each member of the team confronts the gravity of what's coming. Years of investigation, sacrifice, and loss have led to this moment. In 4 hours, Senator Harrison will either be exposed as the orchestrator, or his quantum encryption will ensure he's untouchable forever. And somewhere in the Avalon Hotel, Sarah Morrison works to stay alive, knowing that her father's legacy, her mother's life, and the fate of Project Echo all rest on what happens in the next 2 hours. Marcus checks his gear one final time, Jack Morrison's last words echoing in his mind. Some promises are made in blood. Some debts can only be paid the same way. The night of reckoning has finally arrived. Rainwater drips through the century-old tunnel network beneath Seattle as Marcus and Connor navigate the darkness. Their tactical gear is soaked, but neither man notices the discomfort. Above them, the Avalon Hotel's foundation creaks with age. Security feed loop is in place. Claire's voice comes through their earpieces. She and James are already in position at the gala, posing as corporate donors. Harrison just arrived. The director's with him. Thompson? Connor asks, checking the tunnel map. No sign yet, James responds. But Chen's here, looking nervous. Marcus checks his watch. 90 minutes until Chen needs to input his encryption key. Remember, we move on Sarah first. Nothing else matters until she and her mother are safe. They reach the access point, a maintenance shaft that should connect to the hotel's sub-basement. But something's wrong. The shaft has been recently modified, professional welding around the edges. They found it, Connor whispers. This was too easy. Before they can retreat, floor panels slide open above them. Intense light floods the tunnel as armed figures rappel down on tactical lines. A voice Marcus recognizes echoes through the space. Did you really think we wouldn't be watching the tunnels? Agent Thompson emerges from the shadows, flanked by more men. 5 years tracking you, Kane. You're getting predictable. Marcus and Connor dive for cover as gunfire erupts. The tunnel becomes a kill zone, bullets ricocheting off century-old brick. They return fire, but they're outnumbered and in a compromised position. Claire, Marcus barks into his comm. Plan B, now. Above ground, Claire and James spring into action. The gala is in full swing, Seattle's elite mingling beneath crystal chandeliers. Senator Harrison holds court near the stage, every inch the distinguished statesman. The director stands nearby, scanning the crowd with predatory awareness. Claire deliberately bumps into a waiter, sending champagne flying. The distraction allows James to slip past security toward the service elevator, but the director's sharp eyes catch the movement. We've got problems, Claire warns. They made James. Chen's moving. In the tunnel, Marcus and Connor are running out of options. Thompson's team has them pinned down, the kill zone getting smaller by the second. You're only alive because the orchestrator wants to know about the laptop, Thompson calls out. Tell us where it is, and maybe Sarah Morrison gets to see another sunrise. Connor catches Marcus's eye, gesturing to his last grenade. A desperate play, but their only chance. Marcus nods. The explosion rocks the tunnel, collapsing a section of the ceiling. Through smoke and debris, Marcus and Connor make their break. They emerge in the hotel's laundry facility, alarms blaring above them. Claire, status, Marcus demands, exchanging fire with Thompson's men through the doorway. James is hit but alive. Chen's got him in the security room. Harrison and the director are evacuating. Claire's voice is tense. Kane. They're moving Sarah and her mother. Helicopter on the roof. Connor reloads, his expression grim. Go, get to the roof. I'll hold them here. Connor. 8 years hunting them, remember? This is what I came for. He squeezes off another shot, dropping one of Thompson's men. Besides, someone needs to secure that laptop. Get the girl. I'll meet you at the mausoleum. Marcus clasps his old friend's shoulder, knowing it might be the last time. Then he's running, taking the service stairs 2 at a time. Behind him, Connor's gunfire echoes through the building. On the hotel's top floor, Chen watches the security feeds with growing anxiety. James Rodriguez lies handcuffed to a chair, bleeding but conscious. Sarah and her mother are secured in the next room, surrounded by armed guards. Sir, one of Chen's men reports, Thompson's team is engaged in the basement. Kane is headed up. Of course he is. Chen checks his watch. 40 minutes until the encryption ceremony. He turns to Sarah. Your uncle's persistent, I'll give him that. Let's see how he handles an impossible choice. He drags Sarah to her feet, leaving her mother behind. Take her to the roof. Kill the mother if Kane makes it past the 20th floor. Sarah struggles. No! Mom! Exclamation mark. Your father created this mess, Chen says coldly. Now everyone he loved gets to pay for it. Marcus reaches the 15th floor when Claire's voice cuts through his comm. Kane, stop. They've got bombs planted in the stairwell. Any higher and they'll collapse the whole shaft. He kicks through a fire door, entering the main hotel. The luxury corridor is empty, guests evacuated during the chaos. A television mounted on the wall shows news coverage of the gala, Senator Harrison calmly assuring reporters that a small electrical fire is under control. Claire, I need another way up. Working on it. But Kane, Connor's not responding. Thompson's team is heading your way. Marcus spots a maintenance cart and gets an idea. The elevator shafts. High-rise crews use them for window washing. They'll see you coming. No, they won't. Marcus retrieves something from his tactical vest. A small device Connor gave him. Because the building's about to lose all power. In the security room, Chen watches Marcus disappear from the cameras. Find him. Now! But Marcus Kane is already moving, ascending through darkness toward a final confrontation 5 years in the making. Below him, Connor Mitchell fights for his life in the tunnels. Above him, Sarah Morrison awaits rescue. And somewhere in the city, Jack Morrison's laptop holds secrets that could bring down an empire, if anyone lives long enough to claim it. The Avalon Hotel's rooftop helipad glistens with rain as Sarah Morrison watches Seattle's lights shimmer below. Behind her, Chen paces nervously, checking his watch. 15 minutes until the encryption ceremony. The helicopter's blades whir to life, drowning out the chaos from below. Your time's up, Kane, Chen shouts into the night. Show yourself or the girl dies first. Sarah feels the gun barrel press against her back, but her eyes scan the darkness. She knows her uncle is out there. The same way she knows the small device hidden in her shoe, slipped to her during the chaos in the security room, is part of a plan bigger than Chen realizes. Meanwhile, in the Morrison family mausoleum across town, the director personally oversees his men searching for the laptop. The crystal chandelier hangs untouched above them, exactly as Marcus planned. Because the real laptop isn't in the chandelier at all. It's beneath it, in Jack Morrison's casket, waiting for the right moment. The director's phone rings. Report. Sir, Thompson's voice is strained. Connor Mitchell. He triggered explosives in the tunnel. Half my team is dead, and he's gone dark. Find him. That laptop is our only... The director stops as lights flash outside. FBI vehicles surround the mausoleum. Claire Sullivan's voice booms through a megaphone. This is the FBI. We have proof of Senator Harrison's involvement in Project Echo. Surrender now. The director smiles coldly. Proof? In 8 minutes, the quantum encryption goes live. You have nothing. Back on the rooftop, Marcus Kane emerges from the shadows, hands raised. Let her go, Chen. It's me you want. The laptop. Where is it? You know where it is. Same place it's been for 5 years. The question is, can you get to it in time? Chen's phone buzzes. The director's message is clear. Kill them both. But before he can act, an explosion rocks the building. Connor Mitchell appears through the smoke, very much alive and armed. In the chaos, Sarah drops and rolls, retrieving the device from her shoe, a small USB drive. Now, Sarah, Marcus shouts. She plugs the drive into her phone, and suddenly every screen in Seattle, from Times Square-style billboards to the hotel's own security monitors, comes alive with data. Project Echo, exposed for all to see. That's impossible, Chen stammers. The encryption already happened, Sarah says proudly. 6 hours ago. When you thought I was bluffing at Lake Union, I wasn't. Dad's program didn't just decrypt his files, it piggybacked on Northwest Banking's own network. Everything you tried to hide? It's all out there now. The helicopter pilot suddenly draws his weapon on Chen. Agent Rodriguez pulls off his disguise, still bleeding but very much in control. FBI, drop it. Across town, the director watches his empire crumble as media networks pick up the story. Senator Harrison's arrest plays out on live television. 5 years of planning, undone in minutes. "It's over," Claire Sullivan says, leading the FBI team into the mausoleum. "We found Connor's evidence against Thompson, the whole corruption network. It's finished." The director looks at the chandelier one last time, finally understanding. The laptop was never the target, was it? Jack Morrison's real fail-safe was his daughter, the next generation untouched by our corruption. She's the one he trusted to make it right. Sarah hugs her mother as dawn breaks over Seattle. Below, reporters swarm the hotel as years of conspiracy unravel. Chen and his men are led away in handcuffs while Connor Mitchell watches from the shadows, his 8-year mission finally complete. "Your father would be proud," Marcus tells Sarah, his promise fulfilled at last. "He'd be proud of both of us," she replies. "Think it's over?" Marcus watches the sunrise, thinking of Jack Morrison's last words, not just a clue about the laptop, but a warning about the future. Project Echo was just one network. There are always more shadows to fight. "Then we'll fight them together," Sarah says with her father's determination. "Someone has to." Claire approaches with news. "Thompson's talking. More arrests coming, but Kane... We could use someone with your skills, both of you." Marcus looks at Sarah, seeing not just Jack's daughter now, but a partner worthy of carrying on the fight. "What do you say, kid? Ready to step out of the shadows?" Sarah thinks of her father's legacy, of the promise that brought them here, of the battles yet to come. When do we start? The morning sun breaks through Seattle's clouds, marking not just the end of a 5-year mission, but the beginning of something new. Because some promises don't end with vengeance or justice. Some promises, like the one Jack Morrison made to the future, live on in those left behind, in the children who choose to stand against the darkness, carrying forward the light of truth their parents died protecting. And in Seattle, that light is just beginning to shine.